this is the Mawangdui banner. Have you come across the Mawangdui banner before?
No.
It was found in a tomb in 1972, and it's from 186 BC.
Wow.
Yeah, really fantastic. And it was still, you could still see all the silk. You could still see all the colours. It had been sealed like in an Egyptian tomb, so everything was preserved. And the mummy of the woman was preserved as well. And they did an autopsy and discovered that she had gallstones and you know, all sorts of other stuff. It's totally, totally amazing. But the reason why I put it here, especially with the black and white bit, is that it's the story of the woman and her 3 hun. This is the woman in the middle on that sort of platform, and these are her 3 hun. And if you look carefully at her 3 hun, this is the woman, and behind her are the 3 hun. If you look carefully, this is the where's she gone?
Is it there, right?
Those are her 3 hun. Yeah. Behind her, if you look carefully, you'll see that the 3 hun don't have feet. They're actually floating. Those are the hun. Got it? Yeah, they're actually floating. So it's actually a story of, you know, it's always like this, you get the sort of cosmological story as well. And underneath, what you've got 2 interlaced dragons, which are showing our foundation or our basis, like the kidney sort of stuff. And that's this bit here, in this bit here. Here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Intertwined dragons.
Intertwined dragons. And then just above them, there's like a sort of bird shape with kind of wing things that comes up.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
and it's here, sort of in dark, yeah, got it?
Mhm.
And then just above that there's a knot, and that's like a typical sort of knot of life, 2 snakes, you know, that are kind of knotted. And then you've got this kind of like thing that they're standing on, so everything underneath that thing is the underworld, and it's got all sorts of kind of mythological connotations. This is the thing they're standing on. These are the 2 snaky things, and then they're sort of snaky dragony things, because you know that Chinese dragons are a little bit snaky, really. And then underneath that, you know, this is all kind of underworld stuff. And then when you look above, then you see that there's kind of like cloudy things above, yeah, before you get to the opening of the T junction, yeah. So this is kind of like cloudy stuff. And there's here, and you can see that in this cloudy stuff, on one side, on the right-hand side, there's a gap, but there isn't a gap on the left, because this is actually the story of where the hun have to go back up to heaven. So the top bit, so they go through this little gap here, and then they kind of meander their way up to the top, go up to this top bit. And then here you've got, this is the sun and the moon, and the crow is in the sun. Remember I told you that they're the trees and the sun, and then there was birds and all that. So traditionally the crow is, you know, like the sunbird, if you want, you know, that one that does that movement from east to west sort of thing. And on the right hand side there's always a, it's not a frog, it's the other one. There's the toad and the moon. So that's another whole story. That's another sort of like mythological story about the toad in the moon and all that, which I'm really not going to go into. And there's also a couple of flying dragony creatures, which are also sort of red and black, or different colours in the actual thing. I'm sorry about the colours in this; it's not so good. And there's a couple of geezers who are also standing there, sort of like fluttering things. Do you see what I mean? So they're kind of like up in heaven. These 2 geezers here.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? So the idea is that the hun come through this little gap, and then they go up to heaven, you know, effectively, and it's showing them the way to do that, yeah, in the proper way. So this was a funeral banner which they had, they laid on top of the corpse, on top of one of the tombs, and it was kind of like a sort of inviting her hun to leave the body in the correct manner. Do you see what I mean? And the reason why I put it there, apart from the fact that I just think it's just so amazing, you know, the detail, and you know, you could talk about, again, you could talk about this, I could talk about this whole thing all day, so I'm doing it in about 2 minutes, reduce Shakespeare Company again. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this is that because all this bit here, below where she's standing and her hun, is to do with the underworld, and it's all to do with the strength of the kidneys and the duality of the kidneys, because everything under there is always in a doubled up fashion, and it's got that knot, and that knot is like signifying the knot of life. Just like the 2 kidneys are not 2 separate things, they're the way that they intertwine, you know, and that's what gives you the ability to maintain your life, which is that knot there. Yeah.
When was this dated?
It was, they found it in 1972, but it's 186 BC, and it's called Mawangdui, 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 Mawangdui. It's really famous. If you just look up Mawangdui, you'll find it.
This is one of the oldest burial sites they found. Was it the oldest?
They keep on finding them. That's the problem. Is they found loads more. So,
Okay.
and this is where this is in this same place. They found a different copy of the Tao Te Ching with the De before the Tao. So it was in a different order. And then
The
there's
Tao
another.
Ching.
Yeah, and there's another text that they found which is called Tai Yi Sheng Shui. The Tai Yi gives birth to water, and they think that maybe originally that was part of the Tao Te Ching, but it got lost or something. So that's like a cosmological beginnings thing. And they had this is where they had the 11 channels, but the channels were this sort of similar to the ones that we know, but they were known by names like the tooth channel, the ear channel. Do you know those kind of things? Do you
So
see
like
what I
a
mean?
large
So,
intestine, kidney.
yeah,
Kidney.
all those kind of things. I think the tooth channel was the large intestine, but I'm not sure that the ear one was the kidney. It might have been like the three heater or something like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's all that. They found loads and loads of amazing stuff. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That was 1972. But they keep on digging things up because in China they're sort of busy kind of getting rid of stuff and building, and so they keep on digging. And every now and again they're like, oh my god, and so they have to quickly get it all out before they can build the new. Hideous, eh?
Final question. I can't remember why.
Those were
where this
24 Jieqi,
and we
which
had
is to do with the we had it with the lungs, and it's the idea about the the nodes of bamboo. So you go between the nodes is one quality of qi, and it's like a quality of like climatic qi. Do you see what I mean?
So
And
this
so
is all
it's to
about
do with
regulating.
seasonal movement. It's to do with regulating. And they're 15 days, so one fortnightly period. 24 fortnightly periods,
Yes.
which makes 360 days, which is great because that means that time and space coincide. 360 days, 360 degrees. Fantastic.